And I learned English in Thailand. Back home, when in Venezuela, I used to be so bad. Like bad. Everybody who knows me knows that when I was at school, I was the worst. I would not pass. I would always have to go at the end of the year to make like this test again to be able to pass the subject. If you don't make learning fun, you don't really interested in learning, because it happened to me when I was learning English as well. Mostly movies. I will watch everything, obviously with subtitles in Spanish first, and then I will rewatch it, like with English subtitles, to associate how you write it, how you read it, what it means in English and Spanish, obviously Friends. A lot of auditive memory, really.
Welcome back to the chat room. This is going to be an ad-lib conversation. We bring on the show Irina.
Hi, thanks for having me here today.
It's a pleasure. So we've been talking, chatting, and even before we met in person, I was impressed by the energy, It smells happiness. What's your secret?
I'm just a happy person.
Right.
I mean, I brought up from a family which is either side.
Right.
My family is very happy, full of energy. I don't see the point of being in a negative kind of vibe. Doesn't go with me, makes me depressed. So I prefer to be a happy person.
How can you describe your personality in one word?
One word?
Yeah.
I would say bubbly. I'm a people person.
Right.
So it's very easy for me to get to know people, make friends.
Right.
I'm extroverted. I'm introverted as well, but I don't have an issue with people.
Right.
It's not a problem. Either I have traveled so much that you get used to, just get people, and just the nicer you are, the better outcome you're gonna get.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very good. We're going to be talking about your traveling experience as well, what you've learned in different places, the culture. I've heard that you've been teaching as well, right?
Yeah, I've been teaching in Thailand the past 5 years. It was very all by chance, really. I was in Peru when I was thinking, okay, I'm gonna move back to Thailand. I've been living in Thailand for so long, and it's always been easy for me to not teach, but have that connection with other people and teach them different things. And
right.
Since my English was very good at that point, I thought why not? Maybe if I will get something. You always learn either when you teach, and me being a student as well, I thought I maybe just try. So I got a job in Thailand, in South Thailand, teaching first 101 and then kindergarten. So it was a learning curve for sure, because I didn't know where to start, and it was a good thing that I started with kindergarten, because it's just basics. You learn how to teach them. Every student is different. Every culture is different. Teaching Asian kids is quite a challenge.
Right.
Also, I did know the language, but just the basics. So, okay, we have to repeat all the ABCs, and then, okay, you associate with animals and things like that. And it got really nice at the end to teaching kids, because they are also full of energy, and you cannot make it boring. You have to interact with them and make games and dance and music. And it's nice when you get the results that you are looking for on them, and they are happy to see you every time you come, because they are expecting that fun side of learning. If you don't make learning fun, you don't really interested in learning, because it happened to me when I was learning English as well.
Mm-hmm.
And I learned English in Thailand. Back home, when in Venezuela, I used to be so bad. Bad. Everybody who knows me knows that when I was at school, I was the worst. I would not pass. I would always have to go at the end of the year to make this test again to be able to pass the subject. That was that bad.
Wow.
And now look at me.
Yeah.
Took me only 10 years to get my English together.
That's something we get to talk about. How did you get there? How did you manage to achieve advanced fluency in English? But what led you to Thailand?
My dad is a pilot, commercial pilot. So initially, I came to Thailand to visit. Obviously, his intentions were to bring me there and stay. So once I got there, my dad made me learn English. He was like, yes, you're on a holiday, but we'll be doing something. So he put me in this intensive English course for 3 months. And in about 3 months, I was able to speak and communicate quite well
Right.
because I had no other choice. The only Spanish speaking person I had was my
Mhm.
dad and maybe a few other friends, work friends from my dad. But otherwise, I don't speak Thai. I have to learn English. And all of my classmates were Thai. So I had nobody to like help me out. So I had no choice. And
Not
then,
fluent in English.
no, it was
They could only speak Thai.
Thai. And Thai people are very introverted in that sense with like foreigners. So they will help each other, obviously. And then it was me for myself. So usually the teacher would like
Mhm.
help me out and be like, okay, you are the only one allowed to have a dictionary because in between them they help each other. You have nobody to help you. So I will allow a dictionary because I mean how else would you make your homework, for example, like in class? So I think I learned quite quick for being so bad in high school. You know, it was a so hated subject for me, and now it's the language where I think and speak, and the language I speak to my daughter. My daughter is learning Spanish
Mhm.
instead of so English is her first language.
Right.
She's learning Spanish now. Kind of like I never spoke really Spanish to her as well, which I think is okay. She will learn.
Have you learned any other language?
I mean, I do know some Thai, not fluent,
Okay.
but it helps. I tried to learn Italian, and then I stopped. But I did learn German a bit. I did the A2 level,
Mhm.
but for lack of practice, I don't really speak anymore. I do understand to a point, but I don't speak it.
Right.
It's a very hard language when it comes to grammar. It's really hard. Just it's same as worse as Spanish, you know. So then I stopped learning that, and then I've been just focusing since I've been in Thailand. It's just Spanish, Thai, and
Okay.
English.
What are some of the tricks that helped you learn English fast from the time you committed as such?
Movies,
Right.
mostly movies. I will watch everything, obviously with subtitles in Spanish first, and then I will rewatch it, like with English subtitles, to associate how you write it, how you read it, what it means in English and Spanish. Obviously, Friends. A lot of auditive memory, really, because I learned how to speak more than writing, and I will speak a lot of Spanglish as well. But mostly, for me, was more the audio part. So if I know how to speak it, like l- reading and writing gets to be easier.
I always say that the key to fluency is exposure,
Mm.
and the research goes in this sense as well. We talk about the silent period whereby you need to spend a lot of time exposing yourself to the language, getting linguistic input, and over time you will be able to speak just like a baby,
Yeah,
right? So you need to spend a
exactly.
lot of time listening actively.
Yeah, and so when I was learning the intensive course the first time, and I decided to stay in Thailand, I returned back home, say goodbyes to my mom, pick up some other things. And on my return to Thailand, I met my first boyfriend in Thailand. He's German. So obviously he doesn't speak Spanish. I don't speak German. What other choice I have? I have to learn English. And he will always tell me the key is just words. Words, vocabulary, and just repeat, 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 repeat. So he will, thanks to him, is how I kind of like develop a little bit more
Mhm.
on my linguistics as well. And obviously talking to his friends and exposure, like you
Right.
say. Otherwise, I wouldn't have been able to make it at
Mhm.
all.
Okay. How about grammar? Any theoretical form of content? Have you taken any English lesson?
I did for a year.
Okay.
A whole year I took, I did like a course in a English language institute
Mm-hmm.
in Thailand. What I noticed is what it makes, for example, for maybe French or Spanish, we that have a big grammar, makes so difficult for us to learn English sometimes because English grammar is basic. It is this, and that. The verb doesn't change, past doesn't change. It is what it is. It is this way. But we tend to think so literal when we want to speak from one language to the other, and that's what it makes it hard to sometimes accept and absorb the language because you think like, but why? What it is like that? It is just like that. It is just once you get the whole of it, of like the grammar part, it is easy at the end of the day. Like,
Right.
it's just words.
Mm-hmm.
Remember the words, how the words go, the order of it.
And one of the things that most learners struggle with is thinking in English.
Yes.
Thinking in the language. How did you achieve it?